guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Meghan Markle's cousin, who she Markled a few years ago. But it's okay, it's a family trait. It was just business, and I understand. I aspire to be just like her. So today, I want you to watch me make my favorite recipe and show you how I don't cook, all for $1 million. Let's go. All you need is a blender. You're gonna love this, guys. It's so easy. Now all you need is 2 cups of water. Pour that water in said blender. You can get this water from anywhere. Look at that. It's so effortless. Now, let's just blend, as you do. I think it looks just about done. Okay, the next thing you're going to need is a cup. See my cup? Okay. Plain water. That smells amazing. Now pour. Fantastic. Now this is where the real magic happens. This is a tea bag that I made not long ago. If you have a garden filled with herbs, you can follow along too. It's so easy. A tea bag. Today this recipe is called sun tea. Look at that. And now all you need is the LA sun. Place it in the sun in your 300-acre yard, and that's all you need. You're good to go. Oh, you don't have a 300-acre garden and you don't live in LA? You can't afford LA? Well, let me think. Do you want a hug? As I said, guys, I'm back. And what can I say? I barely survived within an inch of my life watching with Love Meghan. And I just thought to myself, do you know what? I do it for you guys. I'm doing it for research purposes. It was extremely nauseating and boring, to say the least. By the time I think I got to episode 7, where she had the lady who was given some good tips, the Asian lady who was talking about skincare and how you can use natural herbs and spices or whatever from your garden to improve your skin. I was pretty much just about done with the whole thing. Everybody has pretty much made an opinion on this, and the general consensus is that it falls on deaf ears. No one really knows what or who she's targeting and what the message really is about. I was watching Vanessa Feltz's little parody, and it was so hilarious because it's true. I mean, she's literally being paid $100 million to show us how she doesn't cook. So the first guest appearance on the show was her makeup artist, who was nervous as hell. And I think I talked about that. He said his finger, he had to work through it, and he looked extremely uncomfortable. Her next guest was Mindy Kailing. Her appearance on the show has become extremely controversial, and sources, and this is all alleged, are leaking that Mindy Kailing is seeking to distance herself from Meghan due to feeling humiliated on the show.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny too that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now.
Now, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is false, but from what I saw, she was humiliated. And the first thing I thought to myself when I saw this was, if she's so comfortable to talk down to someone or be so abrupt and kind of rude to someone who's come on her show to support her, who's actually doing her a favor, you can only but imagine what she done to the British royal aides over here in the UK, what she does to her staff, her relationship with her cleaners, whether it's relevant to you or not. How does she treat them? How does she talk to them? How does she address them? A few years ago, I think I made a video about Ellen DeGeneres when the whole scandal came out about how she was actually treating people who was not A-listers, who was not being interviewed on her show. And in some cases, like the famous YouTuber Nikki Tutorials, if I'm correct, that's her name. She was really condescending, rude, like a tyrant, nightmare, horrible boss. And it all came out because you can only keep these things under wraps for so long. So she was defamed, and she has become infamous for being known as the boss who was telling people to look left, telling people not to give her direct eye contact, treating them like they were trash, essentially. So she'd done this, and the camera was rolling, and she was just like, I hate the fact, almost, she basically should have said, I hate the fact that you're referencing me as Meghan Markle. I'm Sussex, and I share this name with my kids. So a lot of people have been talking about this whole debacle with the name and what exactly is her name. Lady Colin Campbell, who I love, I absolutely love her channel, has basically said that in social elite circles, she would have gone by and would be going by the name of Sussex. So she would be called Meghan Sussex. Another YouTuber has said that if anything, her last name should be Mountbatten Windsor, which obviously is the name for the children, but it's only applied if you're a bloodline royal. So Archie and Lilibet should go by the name Mountbatten Windsor. Archie Mountbatten Windsor, Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor, if they're going to use a surname at all, because to be honest with you, the royals are actually surnameless. There's this whole debacle and spectacle, but what it really comes back to, however you want to look at it, Meghan Markle obviously is not a blood royal, so she doesn't have true entitlement to the name Mountbatten Windsor. But that's not really the real issue here. The issue is that the very institution who she is merching, she has disrespected, she has shown no regard for, she has done everything to bring down, sabotage. She's called them racist. She's said that they were bullying her. She said that Kate made her cry. Had this whole spiel about how they're not good enough, and yet she's running around in America, merching her title, signing everything, the Duchess of Sussex. And it's been long overdue now that their title should have been stripped a long time ago. Because why is she even using it? Harry, during the whole Megxit, said, just call me H. And they wanted this half in, half out relationship with the royals. They want to be royal, but not have the restraints or the responsibilities that William and Kate and all the other members of the royal firm have to deal with. They want to be able to swan around in LA, become disaster vultures, and make jam. Another thing that has piqued my attention is her branding. So, as everybody knows, Meghan has now released some sneak peek images of all of the things that she is going to be merching and selling on her As Ever website, which obviously is another rip-off name. And her actual logo is another rip-off from a coat of arms in Spain. She's kind of pulled from all these different sources. She doesn't really have much creativity going on independently. And so she's put all of these jams up there and these flower sprinkles, which if you watch the series, and I really recommend that you don't, she sprinkles on everything. You know, she makes a fruit rainbow salad thing and she's like, let's put some sprinkles. And then I think she makes some pasta or something at one point and she says, let's put some sprinkles, you know, because we just sprinkle love and positivity, even though most of the people on the show really, I mean, they're not really close friends. They're not the real people who we really want to see or wanted to see on the show, so to speak, if we had to be subjected to this Meghan with Love series. So there's just a lot of issues. Let me get back to the shows. The first and most poignant issue that I have with Love Meghan is the fact that she's talking about something that is nurturing, that has roots for all of us, steeped in our relationship with our primary carer, which would be our mother or our father or our grandmother, a significant person who's always been there or present throughout our lives. I found it really weird that she has an opening episode with her makeup artist, who we know she doesn't have an intimate relationship with because she didn't even know that he was left-handed. So she says, we have this amazing relationship. We go back years and years. And she didn't even know that when he slit his finger, he's left-handed, right? And what I'm trying to... The reviews have been so bad. It's been absolutely diabolical. What can we say? Netflix has called an emergency meeting with the Sussexes to basically discuss with them the possible termination of this contract because they're not happy with the weak content that they have been supplied. So it was meant to be a mega streaming success. And initially in the first 24 hours, when With Love Meghan dropped, everybody did watch it. People clicked for it. People hate watched it mainly. Media outlets clicked on there in order to give their honest review of how pointless and self-serving her content was. And she delivered on all of those points. It had no real point. It had no real purpose. It was very elitist. It was unrelatable unless you had a 300-acre garden filled with herbs. And I could tell that with some of her statements during the filming of the episodes, and I don't know how I survived watching all 8, but I watched all 8 back to back. It was painful, it was arduous, and it was hard. I watched all 8 back to back. She was really trying to emphasize and come across as this hard done by, a person who rose from the ashes, who was raised in extreme poverty, who had like 500 different jobs when she was a kid, which is outrageously unbelievable. So she talks about how anybody can do this. You can do this even if you just have a windowsill. You can grow some herbs on your windowsill in the city. If you're in London, cooped up in an apartment in London somewhere, what does she have against us in the UK? She's got everything against us in the UK. But what she doesn't understand is that the UK founded her. It made her. So I felt like that was some kind of jibe at the UK people. I don't know. Give me your thoughts. But without meandering on too much, this series is not in the top 10 anymore. She hit the top 10, but it's subsequently dropped. Someone said it's now streaming at number 18. People aren't watching it. A lot of people just tuned in for the first episode just to confirm all of their suspicions that she really wasn't going to deliver anything of real value, and she really did deliver nothing that was really of significant value for any of us to really consume and like. Her family, of course, didn't make an appearance on there. She really did talk about strangers. I mean, she was just literally talking to a bunch of strangers. She had a bunch of associates who she loosely associated with, but they're not anyone who should have been on the show. She should have had people who really were authentic and really were organic. But of course, she doesn't know anybody like that. I was quite interested and confused and bemused to see that she didn't do one single cooking episode with a single family member, including her mother was kind of like just thrown in like she's on the payroll, like, Doria, stand over there. And I think Doria said something like, did those come from the garden? Stuff that she should have known, clearly kind of conveying that she hasn't seen Meghan in months, maybe even years, who knows. She kind of said a few words and she was just like, yeah, of course, like, shut up. She wanted to silence her as quickly as possible. And that's pretty much what it was. There was no one authentic, but the person who I really thought would have been on there, particularly would have been Marcus Anderson. Now, do you remember Marcus Anderson? He is director of the Soho House, and he's someone that Meghan spent a lot of time with during her haunts and her climb to fame in Toronto. He used to date Omid Scooby, who obviously is a hardened Meghan fan. So he was a very tight-knit, close friend of Meghan. Apparently, he's been markled. He's nowhere to be seen. He's nowhere to be found in her media or anything like that. And she pretty much just didn't have anyone that was real. Now, her recipes alone, I mean, what can you say? It was pretty miserable. Let me get into a few of the things that I saw on there because I did take notes to ensure that A, I wouldn't have to reference it again or look at it again. So she gave this guy who is Roy Choi, who is an LA chef, quite a hard time during one of their little discussions as they was cooking the Korean or prepping the Korean fried chicken, during which basically he done all the work, by the way. So she gave him like this death stare, which was kind of unsettling to watch when he talked of his love for speed metal or heavy metal or something like this. And she was just like, so you listen to death metal, you listen to speed metal, how dare you, you know, and it just really highlighted that she has no connection with this guy. She's never met him except for on the series. She's paid him to essentially do the work. She wasn't even cooking. So with everything in her cooking series, she literally felt as though it should just be sprinkled with flowers, you know, and that's what it was. You know, I felt like I was being flower bombed by live flowers, dried bits of lavender. Everything was sprinkled with flowers and not much cooking was really going on. And then on her episode with the lady called Delfina, I believe it is Blaquier. I hope I'm saying that correctly. The Argentinian lady, she whips up some pasta that looks dry as hell. She calls them noodles. And I'll probably insert a picture somewhere around here. So she whips up some pasta and it looks so dry, it kind of flops out of the pan like a rock. And then they both look at it like, my God, that looks absolutely terrible. We're not going to eat this. But anyway, and she's just like, oh, it's okay because when things look like they need to be a little bit moisturized, you know, I just get some olive oil. And so she sprinkles on some olive oil and then she gets some dried out peas. And she's like, I love peas. You know, we've got our beautiful peas. We have our beautiful broccoli. We've got our beautiful spinach. We got our beautiful little celery or whatever it is. And we're just going to sprinkle it here. And it just looks unappetizing, guys. You're not going to eat that, Meghan. Come on, stop pulling our leg here. You are not going to eat this. That was quite awkward to watch. And then come episode 6, I believe it was, she just literally walked to the garden, tap a sprig of mint, put it in a kettle or a jug and put some hot water in there. She said, we're just gonna let this stand. You're really determined to not do any cooking at all, or at least you don't cook. That's what it is. So you've basically given us a view into this fake rented house to show us how entitled and elitist you are, how rich you are, and how lazy you are. You know, she then goes on to make a sandwich and talk about how it's the best thing ever. And let me tell you guys, most of the things are store-bought. So when she makes the sandwich, she just gets a loaf of bread that she got from the Whole Foods market, slices it up, gets a bit of avocado as you do in true LA fashion, mashes it down, gets an egg sunny side up, slaps it on, and talks about how it's the most amazing thing ever. She's like, oh my God, she sprinkles some salt, like a tiny bit of salt sprinkle. And that's pretty much it. And then the crew member's like, I'm starving. He's probably been locked in a closet somewhere for 10 hours and desperate to go to the toilet and desperate to have something to eat. And she's like, I'm gonna make something for you. And she whips him up some bacon rashers and a sandwich, I think, you know, with an egg or whatever, from the same bread that she got from the Whole Foods market. This is not cooking. Netflix basically are telling them it's over. The deal's off.